The first thing that hit me wasn't the shock, but the smell. Expensive perfume, definitely not mine, lingering in our living room like a bad joke about the life I thought David and I had built. That smell, it was the ghost of his betrayal, clinging to everything. The curtains, the sofa, the very walls that had seen 15 years of my marriage. 15 years, can you imagine? Shared dreams, whispered secrets. What I thought was a real partnership. He always used to say, "We're in this together, Rebecca." Always. Turns out his always had an expiration date and a price tag, one measly dollar. And there he was, David, with that smirk. Oh, that smirk. It always made my stomach churn, even before I knew just how deep his betrayal went. "It's done, Becca," he said, his voice so smug it still echoes in my nightmares. "The house, it's Amber's now, legally, for $1. A single dollar. He really thought he'd won, thought he'd outsmarted me, a real estate attorney, in my own backyard, so to speak. Thought he'd left me with nothing. But David, bless his arrogant heart, forgot one tiny thing. He forgot about my little secret, a clause I'd spotted years ago, a ticking time bomb hidden in the fine print. And when that bomb went off, it wasn't just going to crush him, it was going to blow up that smug new world he'd so happily built on the ruins of ours. That house, it wasn't just bricks and mortar, It was everything David and I had worked for. Or so I thought. We found the land together, a beautiful acre, ancient oaks, the whole 9 yards. David, being an architect, designed it. His passion was infectious. I'll give him that. I was the one lost in fabric swatches, paint chips, dreaming of our future there. Every nail, every tile was supposed to be a symbol of our life together. Years. We poured not just our savings into it, but our hopes, laughter, those quiet Sunday mornings with coffee and papers all over the kitchen island. It was our place. Dinner parties, celebrations, comforting each other. It was meant to be forever. David, well, he was charming, driven. When I met him, he was the promising architect with a killer smile and big dreams. I was a young lawyer, ambitious, and okay, maybe a bit naive about love. He pursued me hard, made me feel like I was the only one. "You're too busy with your law firm to worry about the tedious stuff," he'd say, about the house build, or our finances. And I trusted him. I let him handle it. My career was taking off, and he seemed so on top of things. Why would I doubt him? Oh, the irony isn't lost on me now. Believe me. Then, the cracks started showing. Subtle at first, late nights at the office, hushed phone calls in the other room, suddenly caring way too much about how he looked. He got distant. His excuses, flimsy. And his eyes, they held secrets that just chilled me to the bone. I told myself it was stress from work, but that nagging feeling in my gut, it wouldn't go away. Then came the whispers. A friend saw him somewhere he shouldn't have been. Lipstick on his collar. Definitely not my shade. All the heartbreaking cliches. Right? Her name was Amber. His new young assistant, 23, fresh out of college, gazing at my husband like he was a god. Finding out felt like being punched in the gut. Couldn't breathe. My whole world just tilted. I confronted him, tried to stay calm, but my voice was shaking. He didn't even deny it. Actually, he looked relieved. That was the worst part. No remorse, no apology. Just cold hard, "I'm leaving you." For her. But the affair? That was just the warm-up act for his grand betrayal. A few weeks later, while I was still a mess, he dropped the bombshell about the house. He was packing, that smug look plastered on his face. "You can't do this," I whispered. What else could I say? The cruelty was just enormous. "We built this house together." He barely looked up. "Actually, I built it. My name's on the paperwork, remember? So dismissive. You were too busy with your precious law practice." And then, the words that burned themselves into my brain. "So I just gave it to her. For $1. He watched me, that smirk getting wider. "Perfectly legal, Becca. You, of all people, should know. $1 is valid consideration. Deeds recorded. Nothing you can do." He just stood there, practically glowing with triumph, thinking he'd outplayed me, the seasoned real estate lawyer. So clever, wasn't he? Reducing our life, my investment, to one insulting dollar for the woman who helped wreck our marriage. He pictured it, didn't he? Him and his mistress in our dream home. While I was left with nothing but ashes. The pain was physical. It coiled in my stomach, squeezed my chest. I was torn between disbelief and just blinding rage. How could the man I loved, the man I built a life with, be so callous, so full of contempt? He wasn't just ending our marriage, he was trying to erase me from the life we'd built. I was just collateral damage to him, an inconvenient footnote. For days, I was numb, just going through the motions. The world a painful blur. He'd already moved most of his stuff. The house felt alien, haunted, and Amber's presence, it was everywhere. That faint, unfamiliar perfume, the smug look on David's face when he came for his last few things. He even paraded her around like a trophy. He wanted me to see them, to see he'd won, taken everything. He probably expected tears, begging, a full meltdown. And trust me, late at night, I came close. But under all that hurt, something else started to stir. Cold, hard resolve. He'd underestimated me, big time. Mistook my trust for weakness, my love for stupidity. In his arrogance, he forgot who I was. Rebecca Mitchell, a damn good real estate attorney. And if he thought he could beat me at my own game, he was in for a very expensive, very painful lesson. A few days after his bombshell, I was in my office, just me and the law books, strangely comforting. My mind was racing. Though, his words, that smug face, deeds recorded, nothing you can do, kept playing over and over. But something about his certainty, his absolute confidence, it bugged me. David was a brilliant architect, sure, but legal paperwork, not his thing. He hated the details. And our dream home, custom build, specialized contractor, tons of local rules. The paperwork was insane. Then a thought, faint at first, but it grew. I pulled up the county property records online, typed, like a maniac, searching for that deed transfer. And there it was, David Miller to Amber Collins, price, $1, recorded 3 days before he even told me. The nerve, I downloaded the whole package, pages and pages of legalese, surveys, signatures, and then I saw it, buried deep in the deed restrictions, a section David clearly never read. Or if he did, he didn't get it. It was a standard clause for custom builds in our county, something to stop quick flips and make sure taxes were right. A clause I'd actually clocked myself, professionally speaking, when we first bought the land years ago. It basically said if the property was sold or transferred for way less than it was worth within the first 5 years of its assessment, which ours was, it would trigger an immediate, automatic tax reassessment. And the tax bill, based on the difference between that $1 and the full market value, would be due immediately by the seller. Our home was worth $2.8 million. David sold it for $1. A slow, grim smile started to spread across my face. It wasn't just an ah moment. It was like a warrior finding the perfect weapon. David, in his rush to dump me and play hero to his mistress, had just handed me the keys to his financial ruin. He thought he was being so clever, dodging legal fees and a messy split of assets. Instead, he'd walked right into a financial nightmare he built himself. The beauty of it, it was simple. It was legal. He signed the papers. He made the transfer. All him. If you think this sounds unbelievable, imagine living it. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because you really don't want to miss what happens next. And hey, if you've ever been underestimated, tell me about it in the comments. I'm reading every single one. The next few days, a blur of quiet, focused preparation. I got Marcus, my amazingly loyal financial advisor, on board, and Daniel Carter, the city's best forensic accountant. Turns out, David's arrogance didn't stop at the house deed. He'd been just as sloppy with our joint finances. He'd been siphoning money for months, our money half of it mine, to build his new life with Amber. His attempts to hide it, amateur hour. Daniel followed the trail like a bloodhound. We filed an emergency injunction, pronto, to stop him moving or selling anything else. Then the divorce papers, adultery and a demand for a fair split of everything, including the millions he'd tried to hide. But that tax clause, that was where the real, cold satisfaction lay. That knot of anticipation in my stomach. I waited. Let him enjoy his little victory a bit longer. Let him and Amber play house in my dream home. Let them think they'd actually gotten away with it. About 2 weeks later, the phone rang. David, the smugness, gone, replaced by a panic I'd never heard in his voice before. Becca, we need to talk. It's about the house. I kept my voice perfectly cool. Oh, what about it, David? I thought that was all settled. Amber's happy there, isn't she? Happy? How can anyone be happy when they get a tax bill for? It's insane, Becca. It's more than I make in 5 years. His voice was actually cracking. I pretended to be clueless. A tax bill. For Amber, but she only paid $1. The taxes on that should be tiny. No, not for Amber. For me, he sputtered. The county, they're saying because I sold it for less than it's worth. There's this huge reassessment, a tax liability. He was just a mess of disbelief and dawning horror. Ah, I said, very softly, letting the silence hang there for a beat. The fine print, David. You really should always read the fine print. Fine print? What are you talking about? You have to fix this, Becca. You're a real estate attorney. You know this stuff. Can't you just get rid of the restriction? He was pleading. All that arrogance gone. Just raw desperation left. Fix it? I let my voice go a little frosty. Why on earth would I do that, David? You made it perfectly clear the house was your domain. You signed the deed. You transferred a multi-million-dollar property for $1. Surely as a businessman, you understood what you were signing. I didn't read all of it. It was just a transfer to Amber. I actually laughed then. Short, sharp, no humor in it. Go ahead, David. Tell that to a judge. I'm sure they'll be really sympathetic when you explain you gifted a $2.8 million asset without reading the contract. Yeah, that'll fly. I could almost see the color drain from his face through the phone. He was quiet for a long time. The reality of what he'd done was finally crashing down on him. That swaggering, confident guy who dismissed my pain and our history, gone, replaced by a desperate, cornered animal. What do you want, Becca? He finally managed to choke out. Want, I said, my voice quiet but firm. I don't want anything from you, David. You made your choice. You decided our marriage, our home, our life was worth $1. Now you get to live with the consequences. That tax bill, it's just the start. But, Amber, she can't afford this either. What about her? He stammered. A last-ditch try to find some pity in me for his mistress. As if, then I guess she'll have to sell, I said, cool as a cucumber. Hope she gets more than $1 for it. I could just picture her, the young thing who thought she'd hit the jackpot, now stuck with a financial nightmare, all thanks to the guy she'd shacked up with. I hung up, leaving him to stew in his own mess. Phase 1, complete. He knew he was financially ruined. But oh, there was more. The divorce would expose all his financial games. His reputation as a savvy architect and businessman, about to be shredded. A few days later, Amber called. Her voice was small, shaky. Rebecca, it's Amber Collins. Yes, Amber. David, he's a wreck. This tax bill, he says it's your fault, that you tricked him. Really? Did I hold a pen in his hand, Amber, and make him sign things he didn't read? Did I tell him to give away a multi-million-dollar property to his mistress for peanuts, knowing what could happen? Silence, then a hesitant, no, but nothing, Amber. David made his choices. He used you to hurt me, and clearly didn't give a damn what happened to you in the fallout. That tax bill is his problem. If the house is too much for you, maybe you should sell it, for what it's actually worth, this time. I heard later through the grapevine that Amber did sell the house. Got a good price too, around $2.9 million. After she paid the property taxes that came with owning it, separate from David's big tax bomb, mind you, she apparently walked away with enough to start over, far from David and his mess. Good for her, I thought. She was just collateral damage in David's war. At least, she got out. David, not so lucky. That tax bill from his genius $1 sale wiped out most of what he had. He had to sell off other investments, scramble for cash. His whole financial world just crumbled. His big move to look like the generous guy, gifting his lover a mansion, backfired, big time, made him look like a reckless idiot. The divorce was brutal for him. Daniel, my forensic accountant, had every detail of David's hidden accounts and sneaky transfer. That $3.2 million he'd shuffled around, all laid out for the judge. No hiding, no explaining that away. His affair was proven. His financial cheating exposed. The judge was not amused by him, trying to scam me out of my share. Oh, he tried to fight it. His lawyer argued the deed restriction was unfair, that David didn't know. But that clause, standard stuff in our county for custom builds. David signed the deed, willingly. His arguments went nowhere. He was a businessman, an architect. He dealt with contracts all the time. Claiming he didn't know, laughable. I saw him in court. Smugness, long gone. He looked thin, defeated. When his eyes met mine, I saw hate, but also this new, grudging respect he clearly hated feeling. He thought I was just the trusting, naive wife he could toss aside. He forgot I was Rebecca Mitchell, real estate attorney. I know property law like the back of my hand. He forgot I wasn't someone to mess with, not when pushed this far. The fallout for David, it was a complete disaster. Just like I planned, that huge tax bill was only the start. The divorce settlement, once all his hidden money came out, took a huge chunk of what he had left. His professional reputation tanked. Word gets around fast. The story of how he tried to cheat his wife, only to get outplayed by a tiny clause he missed, made him look unethical and incompetent. Clients got nervous. Projects disappeared. Amber, like I said, sold the house and vanished, hopefully to build a better life, a bit wiser. I didn't hold anything against her. She was young. David was a pro at manipulating people. She was just another victim of his ego and greed. And me, walking out of that courthouse, divorce papers in hand, felt like taking off a heavy, suffocating coat. Our dream home was gone, sold to strangers. The life I'd imagined with David, all a lie. But in its place, I found a new strength, a quiet kind of power. He tried to take everything, leave me with nothing. Instead, he accidentally showed me how resourceful and resilient I really am. The betrayal still stings, sure, a dull ache that'll probably stick around. Trusting again, that'll take time, but that sharp, awful pain, it's fade. Now there's peace, closure. I didn't go for screaming matches or slashed tires, none of that typical revenge stuff. My revenge was precise, legal, and totally devastating, all done within the law he thought he could twist for himself. I threw myself back into my career, into my work at the firm, with more energy than ever. My colleagues, who'd seen how I handled it all, were amazing. They rallied around me. My practice took off. I started finding joy in simple things again. A quiet night, with a good book, dinner with friends, who had my back, the thrill of winning a tough case for someone who deserved it. Months later, I heard David was struggling, trying to piece his finances and his shredded reputation back together. Word was he was selling off what little he had left to pay his debts. Alone, mistress gone, his perfect little world, completely ruined. He gambled everything on his own ego, and boy did he lose, spectacularly. Sometimes, I drive past the old house, our dream home. New curtains, different cars in the drive. It's just a house now, a beautiful building, sure, but it doesn't hold those bittersweet memories anymore. It has no power over me. My real home is inside me now, a place of strength, resilience, and peace I fought hard for. David gave our home to his mistress for $1, thinking he'd won. But my secret, that tiny line of forgotten text in a boring legal document, that made sure the real price he paid was so much higher. He didn't just lose a house or money. He lost his credibility, his reputation, any claim to being a decent human being. And in doing all that, he accidentally gave me back something priceless, my freedom, my self-worth, and the knowledge that I could survive his betrayal and come out stronger. Healing's not a straight line, but every step forward, no matter how small, feels like a win. He thought he could erase me, but all he did was show me a strength I never knew I had. My story is about betrayal, yeah, but it's also about knowing your worth. And let's be honest, the quiet, satisfying justice you can sometimes find in the fine print. Thanks for listening to my If you've been through something like this, or if it just hit home for you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you found this compelling, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about resilience and those crazy curveballs life throws at us. And remember, you're stronger than you think.